Hi, welcome to my tutorial on completing and submitting your work with PyCharm on Windows 10. I've created two different tutorials here, one for Mac OS and one for Windows 10, because just one of the operations that we do zipping up a directory is just a little different on each operating system, and I wanted to be able to show it um, uh, appropriately for each group. So this is for my Python course. This is one that I'm teaching in the summer of 2017. But I expect this tutorial to be good for a while and for perhaps some other courses from time to time. Um, what we're looking at here is a copy of my Windows virtual machine. This is the virtual machine that I use for the PyCharm install a week ago or so, and that's pretty much all that's on it right now. So let's get started. All right. So what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to just go through the workflow of how we would create a project, organize it, do all that kind of stuff for a typical assignment. And I'm just going to use the first assignment that we're doing in this particular course as my reference point. Okay. So let's first fire up PyCharm Edu. When we did the install, we left an icon for it down in the taskbar, so I'm just going to left click on that and wait for that baby to fire up. Alright, click on it again. Sometimes with my virtual machine, things are a little they don't hear me quite as well as they would if I was just working on the screen. Okay. And look what happened here. What happened here is we went right back to the project that I was on before, which is the Practice 00 project, which is the one that I used to do the install. And what's kind of interesting here is that the behavior here under Windows is a little different than Mac OS, so I'm glad I did this. I don't want to be working in this project anymore. So let's, first of all, let's close this file. Okay. And then let's go up to the menu and left click on File, and then Open. Okay. I'm sorry. In this case, we want to say File and New. So File, New Project. Okay. So if you remember when we did the install, we decided that we were going to create a directory. In my case, I put it under Documents, but you could have kept it right in your home directory if you wanted to. I liked my documents, and I called it My Python Course, but you can call it whatever you want. I suggest that at least for a while that you keep all of your projects in the same directory. So perhaps it could be the number and section ID for your course, something like that. Okay, and then of course we have to give it the name of our project. Now the important thing for project names is this is a name that is going to be used throughout the workflow. It's going to be the name of our project, and then when we zip up our work to hand it in, it's going to be the name of a zip file. And then after I get it and I go to grade it, it's going to be the file that I unzip in order to create a little project directory that I can open to grade. So it's important to me that it includes your name as a student and a proper identifier for the assignment. And I want your name to sort into order, and I want the assignments to sort into order. So in the instructions that I have for this first assignment, I give kind of a format for this project name. It's last name, your last name, underscore first name, underscore exercises, because that's what these are, underscore the name of the book that we're working from, Zell, Z-E-L-L-E. This is a different course. Maybe we're working in a different book. Okay. And then another underscore the word chapter and underscore, and it's chapter 1 that we're doing here, but if you want these all to sort in the right order, you have to do 0, 1 for 1. And that's going to be true all the way up to 9. So let's try to follow that theme. So my last name is Trainer. So I'm going to come over here. And right where it says Untitled, I'm going to say Trainer underscore. And then I'm going to say my first name, Kevin underscore. Well, let's get back to my little cheat sheet. And then I'm going to say exercises and underscore. And then Zell, Z-E-L-L-E underscore. Then chapter underscore. Then 0, 1. And that's going to do it. Then the other thing I want to be sure is I want to make sure that the interpreter that's being used is the one that I want. Now, when we just did our install a week or so ago, the current version of the Python-related software that we got from Anaconda was Anaconda 3.6.0. So that's what I'm using. If time has gone by, perhaps that's not the version that you are looking for. Okay? Let's see what versions I have. Well, it looks like I have the one that came with PyCharm, and I have the Anaconda that I installed. So that's the one that I want. And I'm going to click on Create. And new projects can either be opened in a new window or this window. Let's just say this window. Okay, so we'll repopulate this. And you can see I've got a pretty big ID for my project, but it's not. You don't have to go too far over to be able to see the whole thing. That's not too bad. All right. So once I have a proper project created to hold all the work for my assignments, then I need to create one Python file, one module file for each exercise that I'm doing. And in this particular situation, we have 2 exercises, and I've given you the name for these. These are actually exercises that I wrote instructions for. They're not exercises out of the book. And so we're just going to use the names that I use. If there were not names for the exercises, then it usually works the best just to call the files something like exercise 01, exercise 11, exercise 23, right? Whatever the number is. Then it makes it a lot easier to grade. Okay, let's go up to the project, right click, say we want a new Python file. And the first one that I create in this set of instructions, the first one's called solong.py. So long, typically module names are all lowercase. Sometimes they're divided by underscores, sometimes not. We don't have to put .py because we get that from this part down here. So just so long. Okay. And it brings it up in the editor. That looks good. And we're going to follow the convention that's followed by most Python programmers, and certainly in our current textbook. The first line is going to be a single line comment with the name of the program, solong.py. So we're going to create a single line comment with a pound sign and then a space, and then we're going to put file colon, because that's the way they're doing it in our textbook, and then we're just going to say so long Py. Okay, that looks nice. And then typically you have some kind of a comment that describes the functionality of the program. And at this point, we're just going to use, again, a single line comment. And let's us, put in one pound sign. And it's important to know that we don't want this to be a play-by-play description of the program. If you want to play-by-play, we want you to read the program. Okay? What we want to say is what do you use this for? I mean, what does this do for the user? Or what are the intentions of it? Okay? Things that are harder to tell by reading the code, right? So we really want to add value with this comment. Okay? And I'm going to say that this is a simple program to print a single line. And that's all we're really trying to do with that. Okay. Now, before we start the code, we're going to skip 2 lines. Skip 1. Skip 2. Okay, we're going to skip 2. We're going to have 2 blanks, and then we're going to have the code. And I'm not going to put the code here. You're going to do that when the time comes, right? But I do want a comment that says something like code goes here. So let's just type that. Code goes here. Okay, that's fine. But of course, that's not in a comment. So the editor's not liking that. We're getting a red light bulb. Looks like we have a syntax error here. Oh, how can we take a line that isn't a comment and toggle it into being a comment? Well, we click somewhere on the line, okay, somewhere in the text that's on the line. And then we're going to, on the Mac, you press command /. On Windows, I believe you do. Oh, don't you just love that? On Windows, you do control /, and it toggles right into being a comment, which is neat. So what if I wanted to toggle it back into being code? Well, control / toggles it back. And what's kind of odd is it takes us down to the next line. I guess that allows us to do a whole series of lines. That's it. So I want to go back up here and make sure that it is toggled into being a comment. So I did a control / again. Okay, so that's good. Do I have to do a save explicitly? No, I could do a control S if I wanted to be compulsive about this, but the fact is it's going to save on its own. So let's just save so long Py. Let's close it. So it's closed and saved. We can see it over here in the navigation panel. And the second program that we're going to create, we're only creating 2 in this first assignment, is called math101.py. So let's go up and right-click on the name of the project. Say we want a new Python file. Okay, and then we're going to call that one math101.py. And again, typically the names of these module files are all lowercase, occasionally with intervening underscores. Okay, that's the convention for them. And we don't have to add the .py explicitly because this control does that for us. Say OK. And again, we're going to do the conventions. This time, I'm going to type file math101.py. Okay, and again, I'm going to get an error because it thinks it's Python code, but then I'm going to hit control / and it goes, oh, no, it's not Python code. It's a comment. And now the next one, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to say a simple program to do ... You're going to have to figure out what this one does. And I'm going to do the same thing. While I'm on that line, I'm going to hit Control/ and turn that into a comment. And I want to skip 2 blank lines. And I want to just have a comment from where I'm going to put the code. So say code goes here. Put a couple of exclamations there. And again, I want to turn that into a comment. So toggle it with Control/. And it looks like that one's okay now too. So let's go and close this. And then we have what we want. Well, it looks good. All right. So at this point, this is ready to go. This is ready to submit, but we need to zip up our work because what we like to do is to submit a single file for the project. So how do we do that? Well, in some IDEs, there's actually a function. You would go up to the menu and click on File and say you wanted to export the project. Well, PyCharm doesn't really have that feature, unfortunately. So what we're going to do is we're going to close PyCharm, and we're just going to go out and work in the file system. So let's go close PyCharm. Okay, let's close that because we're done with it. And then let's open up the File Explorer. I've saved a copy of this down in the toolbar. The taskbar. How did I get that? Well, I went over to the Start thing. I went down to the bottom of the alphabet, and in Windows System, I found File Explorer, and I right-clicked on it, and I said, I want to more, and since it hadn't been pinned to the taskbar, it said pin to taskbar, and I clicked on that, and that's how I got that down there. Okay? Because I don't like to have to hunt for those things every time I have to go do them. So let's click on that in order to fire it up. Okay. And we have our stuff in Documents right now. Okay. And let's double click and open My Python course. And there are 2 projects there. There's the Practice 00 that we used when we did the install a week or so ago. And now here's the project for my first assignment, looking very good. So all I really need to do is to zip up that directory, right? Okay, so let's do that. Let's right-click on that folder. And the way we do that in Windows is we pick Send To, and then we pick Compressed Zipped Folder. And then it gives us the opportunity to change the name even after we create it, but we don't want to change the name. All right, so this is the one file we're going to submit. Okay, do we leave it here? I usually don't. Why not? Well, it's kind of crowds up my directory. Could you do it? Sure, you can leave it there. I'm not going to be angry with you. It's your machine. But what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to create another another folder to hold those things. I'm going to go to Documents again, okay, and I'm going to create another directory. Right click and say New Folder, okay, and I'm going to call this Submitted Homework. All right. And I'm going to double click on that so it's open. And I'm just going to take that zipped version and I'm going to pull it over and put it in that directory. I'm going to keep my homeworks there. So this is the single zip file that I am going to submit to the submission activity on the learning management system for this assignment. And that's pretty much all ready to go. So you might say to me, well, Kevin, how are you going to use this when you get it into your workflow? Or how could I use this kind of strategy, say, to move a project from one machine I have to another machine I have, because that's really the use case here. We say, okay, well, let's do this. Let's create another directory to work in, another another directory to work in, and it's not my Python course. Okay, so what I'm going to call it, I'm just going to call this, I'm going to create a new folder. And this isn't something that you have to do, but I just want to show you how it works. I'm going to call it grading for the Python course. Okay. And what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to find all the things that everybody that all the zip files that students submitted, and I'm going to bring them out and put them into this grading directory. I'm going to unzip them. So let's do a copy. I'll paste that in there. Okay, so now I have a zipped one. I really can't open that with PyCharm. At least I personally don't know how to do it. I double click on that, and oh, you know, sometimes you get the problem with these things. Sometimes, let me just not do it quite that way. I've always had a problem on Windows. Let me do a delete, so that's gone. I always had a problem on Windows. It's sometimes I think I'm expanding these things and I'm not really. So let's say copy, paste that back. So I really have the zip file here. Let's right click. Maybe we have to shift right click it. Maybe we have to shift left click it. Maybe we have to control right click it. Okay, there'll be a slight pause where I find out how to explicitly decompress it. I haven't spent a lot of time over here recently, and you can tell. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So, what have we got here? Well, what we're trying to do is we're trying to show more explicitly how to do an unzip of a directory in Windows 10. So over on the right side, I've got this directory. I'm going to right click it and say I want to copy it. And I'm going to right click and paste it into the destination directory. So I have it. Now I just want to show when this file is not selected, I don't have anything up here about compress folders tools, but if I select this project, I'll see compress folders tools. And what can I do? Well, I can do an extract. So I'm just going to left click on that, and it's going to say extract to, and where do we want to extract it to? Well, we want to extract it right where it is. Okay. So let's yeah, right here. So let's do that. Well, and now we want to extract all. Now it brings up this, and we say extract. So here we have the extracted folder. Now if we go back and look, let's hope that we can see this where it is. Yeah, there it is right there. Alright, and now if we open up that, that's a proper directory. Okay, so now what I'm going to do when I want to work with it and grade it is I'm going to fire up Python Edu. So let me fire that up. And I just say, I'm just going to find that directory and say I want to open it. And it's that easy. So I'm going to go up to the menu, click on File, Open. And where do we want to go? Well, we want to go to documents is in here, so within my home directory. So, and then documents, and then grading for a Python course. Let's double click on that. And we've got got this thing all unzipped wrong. I hate Windows. So I think we have to go all the way down to the bottom one. And just open it in the same window. My Windows skills have started to atrophy since my Mac days have come on. I apologize for that. And I'm going to open this, and you can see that I've got the proper project here. Okay, so it was a little sloppier than I wanted it all to be, and I apologize for that. But I guess I'm a Mac guy now. It's hard to believe. Hopefully that's enough to help you and get you going. And I'm going to say bye until next time. Bye bye.